Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. And 2 weeks this time. I'll talk about why after we look at the pens, but it's a good reason. I was fact-checking some things and kind of waiting on something. But let's dive into it. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I'd invite you to subscribe. And hey, what do you think of this science bill coming out of Montana? Let us know down in the comments. So, in the meantime, let's take a look at some pens. Alright, so these are the pens and inks I've been using this week. From left to right, we have the Montblanc 146 from Germany. And it's vintage. We have a Camlin Sovereign from India. Who says I've never reviewed an Indian pen on this channel? Here's one right now. Also vintage. We have a Montblanc Monte Rosa Turquoise pen from Germany. We have a Pilot Custom 743. Not vintage. We have a Montblanc, what the heck is it? 32 vintage. There seems to be a lot of one brand here this week. Montblanc 225 vintage. Nakaya Decapod twist. Oop, not vintage. And a Montblanc 332 very vintage with a fun life story. As always, I'll be doing my writing in this cognitive surplus notebook. So our first pen for tonight is really badly lit. A little better. Our first pen for tonight is this Montblanc 146, which I reviewed last week. Let's try that. A little better. So, reviewed that last week. I had my lighting perfect last week, and why'd I have to mess with something that was perfectly good? Alright, we'll call it good, even if it's not. Has a very nice, some people told me broad nib, which, yeah, I guess I have to agree. I don't know where I got medium from. I thought maybe it said that on the site I bought it from, but maybe not. Did I look? No. Montblanc 146. And the ink in it is Diamine Damson. Which is a nice dusky purple. I kind of go for dusky purples. Of course, like with all my colors, I am trying to get down to the one survivor. And I've got a couple competitors for this one that I think will win out in the end, especially the Poussier de Lune I like a lot better. But it is a nice color. So I goofed. I kind of forgot I had this pen inked up. And so this pen, this Camlin Sovereign, is an Indian fountain pen, slip cap, which is perfect. Kind of reminds me of the Lamy 2000, which has not been in use. Oh, and it may have just run out of ink. See if we can shake a little into it. You know, looking at the squeeze converter, it's out of ink. Doggone, I wanted to write with it at least once. Shoot! Well, clearly if it's almost out of ink, I have been writing with it. So this ink, this pen had in it, we'll see what we can squeeze out of it. It does not normally write this horrible. It's that being out of ink thing. It has Aurora black in it. It has the last of my Aurora black. Doggone, I was going to save this so I could write with it in this Pens in Use. And I didn't save really enough ink. Great! So, don't blame the pen for that. That's on me for not Well, I couldn't refill it. I would have had to refill it with something else. So knowing that that one was almost out of ink and I wanted to save it, I filled up this pen, this Monteverde Turquoise. Very elegant looking blue pen. Not Monteverde, Monte Rosa. Made by Montblanc. This is their, back when they used to have, well, air quotes, budget pens. The Monte Rosa line was their budget pen. So this is a Montblanc for, you know, students. It has a steel nib instead of a gold nib and, you know, little things like that. But this has Montblanc ink in it because, to my surprise, I found out that I have a quarter Montblanc. Gosh darn. I have like a third of a bottle, which I have not used, so I thought, heck, let's use it up. And, you know, did I use it up in my Lamy 2000, which I really want to write with? Oh no. Because I thought, well, give it a month or two, then I'll have to clean it out and re-ink it with another black. So I just decided, you know, let's give some of these pens that don't get a chance to play a chance to play. So, yeah, I expect to see a couple others that I like as daily writers to appear in this next couple of weeks. Might give you an idea how often I refill my pens that write with black. So this is my Pilot Custom 743. Almost out of ink. Has a Falcon nib in it. I've been kind of refilling this as it empties out. And this is Iroshizuku. Kiri. So it's kind of a warmer gray. I really liked Fuyu's Shogun. So I have one more bottle of gray ink to get through after this one. And then I'm going to buy myself a nice big honkin' bottle of Fuyu's Shogun. And that will be my gray ink, except for the occasional sample that I choose to try. What a drab collection of inks so far. Yipe. So this is my Montblanc 32. Very classy little slim pen. Oh, finally some color. This has an extra fine nib in it. Little thumbnail type of nib. And the ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner Blue Mare. I have several bottles of ink in this color family. Klingner. So I'll have to go through them before I decide which one's my favorite. I used up Iroshizuku. I forget what it was called, but it was this color. I have a Monteverde Turquoise, a Lamy Turquoise, and I might have another one in some brand. How does that happen? I don't know. It happened. I got way too many bottles of ink and I feel stupid now. Just one day I looked up and said, what? Where did all these come from? You'd think I'd know the answer to that. This is a Montblanc 225. It has the same kind of finish as a Lamy 2000 down here in the brushed steel cap. Also an extra fine. The nib's a little friskier than a Lamy 2000 nib. Oops, there's no E in Montblanc. 225, extra fine. And the ink in this one is a brown ink. I think I'm almost, yeah, I've got this and one more brown left. Pedicon Edelstein Smoky Quartz. This brown is no longer made. So you know what? Even if this was my favorite, too darn bad, because you can't get it anymore. It's an okay brown. It's never really impressed me. You know, I'm not a big fan of brown ink. It just, I look at it and I think poop. Sorry. And I have my Nakaya Decapod Twist, which is by far the most expensive pen here. Funded by you. So that annoying ad you had to watch at the beginning of this, that's what funds it. I don't run the mid-roll. So far YouTube lets me get away with that. I don't really feel a need to. So my ink here, it's a soft fine nib. My ink here is Rohrer and Klingner. I have nothing like this ink. So when this bottle runs empty, I'm buying a new one. Klingner Alt-goldgrün. Very fun green color. It's really striking to see a whole page of this. And of course, in an expressive pen like this, it's a lot of fun. Not an amazing shader, but not bad. And finally, the senior citizen of this, from the 1930s. And I have forgotten the country, but it's in Europe, Central Europe. It's a country that was first conquered by the Nazis. So this guy was a pen dealer, and he hid it, along with a bunch of other similar pens, in his attic. And then the communists took over after World War II, and he's like, well, darn, I can't reopen my shop because, you know, communists don't like us capitalists. So he continued to hide it. Then he died, and some descendants of his were doing a little renovating, and they found all of these amazing pens. And they're like, hey! So they're slowly making their way onto the market. So this pen has had quite a storied life. So this is a Montblanc. So it goes from like a very extra fine to maybe a double broad, and if I wanted to push it, maybe even more. 332. It's an extra fine. And the ink in it, I did not write on the video description, shoot. What is it? Not the last of it. This is the orange ink I'm going through right now. Apparently another one that you can no longer get. I guess it was a special edition the year I bought it. And they had a special pen and this color and all that business. I guess it's a way to build up excitement for your brand. Otherwise people are like, well, I don't need another Lamy Safari because I've already got one. Oh wait, they're in bronze now? They're in petrol now? They're in coral? Ah, one of each please! So, I think that's how that works. But anyway, those are the pens and inks I've been using this week. Alright, so let's get a couple big things out of the way. Now with my lighting you can't tell, but my Christmas lights are still up. Why are they still up in February? Well, there's a really good answer. Because I took the time to do some house cleaning and found these scraps of cardboard in my living room, and I'm like, so I threw them all away. Then it came time to take down the lights, and I remembered, oh yeah, I wrap the lights around them so they don't get tangled while I store them for the summer. So I've got to buy some stuff in cardboard boxes so I can get some more flaps. So until I do some online shopping, we're going to leave the Christmas lights up, I guess. So that's why the lights are still up. The other one's a little more serious. Last week I'd planned, I'm very excited actually about doing this video on pens in use, you know, partly because of the pens, because there's some one or two interesting things going on there. But the other reason is I ran into this bill from Montana all about teaching science. And I was like, oh, I could dig into this. This could almost be a driving video if I wasn't in the video of the book banning, in the middle of the book banning series. And it's so timely, I just can't let it go because I didn't know what Montana Legislature was going to do with it. Still don't. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, wait a second. So this perfectly matches with your biases and beliefs and all that. Is it possible you're misinterpreting it and just need to do a little more research so you don't make an ass of yourself and misrepresent the whole thing? So that's what I did. I spent a lot of time, going over my script, going over researching the bill a little bit more, thinking, am I overreacting? Because it seems so crazy that I'm thinking it's crazier than it is. And by the time I decided, no, I'm not crazy, it was Sunday. So, I saw that there was going to be a hearing on it. I was hoping I could find it. I'm filming this on Tuesday. The hearing on it was yesterday. I was hoping I could find information about the hearing, but I couldn't. So I'm filming this. If anything happens with this bill between now and when I publish the video, I will put a note in the video description or maybe do a short. But as of now, I want to get this filmed tonight because it's one heck of a week for me. So I'm just going to go with what it is. So, I lost the number. Just a second. All my notes have everything except for the number of this bill. So this notation was unfamiliar to me. It must be a Montana thing. Instead of calling it, in North Dakota, it's either House bill or Senate bill, and I know Montana has both. They just call it LC. Find it. There it is. Okay. It's called okay, it goes by two names. That's part of why I'm confused. One of them is Senate Bill 0235. The other one was LC 2215. So, this one had me worked up enough that I actually wrote some notes. So I'm going to start out by reading part of it, and then I'll comment on it, and then we'll comment a little bit more at the end. And, for context, why do I care? I am a science teacher. My degree is in physics, but I've taken enough coursework in all the sciences that I can teach anything science. I have a lot of respect for the field of science. No desire to be a professional scientist, but I think science is important and scientific thinking is important. So, to quote, a bill for an act entitled, An Act Establishing Requirements for Science Instruction in Public Schools, Defining Scientific Fact, and Providing an Immediate Effective Date. So that's the start. Whereas the purpose of K-12 education is to educate children in the facts of our world to better prepare them for their future and further education in their chosen field of study, and to that end, children must know the difference between scientific fact and scientific theory, and red flags should be going up right now, by the way. Whereas a scientific fact is observable and repeatable, and if it does not meet these criteria, it is a theory that is defined as speculation and is for higher education to explore, debate, and test to ultimately reach a scientific conclusion of fact or fiction. Yeah! Legislature, party of small government in that state, meddling in what science is, and they're wrong. So let's just pause there. Facts are things like the observation that falling objects on Earth increase their velocity by 9.8 meters per second every second. I can measure that. Or that ducks have feathers. And what a god-awful science class that would be if that's what I teach. If I'm just teaching a bunch of facts. Maybe it would help you in Trivial Pursuit. These things are just observations. So let's look at what the bill does to the definition of theory. Now, in conversation, I might say something weird like, I have this theory that aliens are running our government. That's conversational. In that context, it's all speculation. But in science, that's not what a theory is. So this bill incorrectly defines a theory. So the easy way to say it is that in science, a theory explains the facts. Scientific theories are not speculation. Scientific theories are based on the evidence. Imagine science without the germ theory of disease, atomic theory, gravitational theory, evolutionary theory, the theory of plate tectonics, cell theory, and so many other theories. Without the theories, it's just a bunch of random, unconnected facts. The theories connect them together. The theories explain why does this balloon stay open? Atomic theory. It's little atoms whapping at the sides of it. Why does salt dissolve in water? Atomic theory. Why are humans so similar to chimpanzees? Evolutionary theory. So that's what theories do, is they explain the facts. And once you have that big overarching idea, then you're like, now I get the whole picture. Whereas if it's just a bunch of discrete, unconnected facts, you're like, chimpanzees share 97% of their DNA with humans. Got it. And then the other part, that only those in higher education can evaluate or study anything that's not a pure fact. It's just stunning how much of science this bill would lock away from anybody who doesn't go on to higher education. So the author of this bill clearly does not understand the nature of science. To quote from the NSTA article on the nature of science, which is linked below, 1. Laws are generalizations or universal relationships related to the way that some aspect of the natural world behaves under certain conditions. They can describe relationships among what has been observed in the natural world. For example, Boyle's law describes the relationship between pressure and volume of a gas at a constant temperature. So, as the volume goes down, pressure goes up, and vice versa. That's something we can observe. That's not a theory. That's something we've noticed. That's how gases behave. Theories are inferred explanations of some aspect of the natural world. So they provide explanations for what has been stated in scientific laws. Theories do not become laws even with additional evidence. So you never really separate fact from fiction with them. All you do is you find evidence that supports it, or evidence that says, yep, chuck that theory in the trash. Which doesn't happen very often. Usually the theories end up being modified slightly. So theories explain laws. However, not all scientific laws have accompanying explanatory theories. And then the third point that the NSTA makes is that well-established laws and theories must be internally consistent and compatible with the best available evidence, be successfully tested against a wide range of applicable phenomena and evidence, and possess appropriately broad and demonstrable effectiveness in further research. So now to continue with this dumbass bill. Science instruction may not include subject matter that is not scientific fact. Okay, so again, we memorize a bunch of definitions, we memorize a bunch of random facts, and we call it a science. Number 2, the Board of Public Education may not include in content area standards any standard requiring curriculum or instruction in a scientific topic that is not scientific fact. So, the Montana State Science Standards, also linked down below, already run afoul of this. They contain evolution, plate tectonics, and many more theories. And I did add a legal note because it was the only thing that was added since I found this bill, that actually the legislature may not legally be able to do this because it's outside their authority. And you can read the whole legal opinion to get the facts. It's linked down below. 3. The superintendent of public instruction shall ensure that any science curriculum guides developed by the Office of Public Instruction include only scientific fact. Again, just facts, not the big ideas that link them, the thing that makes it science. 4A. Ooh. The trustees of a school district shall ensure that science curriculum and instructional materials, including textbooks used in the district, include only scientific fact. Again, what? Find me a science textbook that's only fact? I mean, Montana's going to have to write their own if that's what they're after. B, beginning in July 1st, 2025, of course, a parent may appeal the trustees' lack of compliance to subsection 4A to the county superintendent and subsequently to the superintendent of public instruction under the provisions for the appeal of controversies in this title pursuant to blah, blah, blah. Because of course, the parents are going to be able to tell the difference between fact and personal opinion. I have parents right now that don't think evolution should be taught in school, and really that's what's behind this. And 5, the legislature intends for this section to be strictly enforced and narrowly interpreted, because of course it does. The more narrow the better. And 6, as used in this section, scientific fact means an indisputable and repeatable observation of a natural phenomenon. Okay, I guess I could live with this definition of a fact. I have my students make observations all the time. We measure the gravitational constant. But what is my physics class? If we measure that, but we don't have gravitational theory to link all that stuff together, all you have is a bunch of memorized fact. That is extremely low-level thinking, the lowest level of Bloom's taxonomy, also linked down below. And that would be a sad fate for education, to put it at the level of memorizing and regurgitating facts. We wouldn't even allow students to rise to the level of understanding if this was the approach to science education. Did you know giraffes have long necks? Giddy up! And then, back to the bill. Section 2, Transition. The Board of Public Education, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and the school district boards of trustees shall fully implement the requirements no later than July 1st, 2025. Section 3, Codification Instruction. It is intended to be codified as an integral part of legal stuff. Effective date. This act is effective on passage and approval. So, no warning for schools and teachers that, hey, time to bail out of Montana schools. Go get a job in a state that actually values education and thinking, which actually understands what science is. Fun fact, North Dakota pays better than Montana, and we have a science teacher shortage. So come on over. I've got my job. And if you teach anything else in Montana, come on over. We pay better. Now, my hope is that this pig-ignorant bill does not pass. The author of the bill, Daniel Enrich, is an anti-vaxxer, because of course he is. He even suggested that the vaccine can caused the death of a teen. And, of course, he's an election denier. This is exactly the kind of person who would not understand what science is. Now, Montana has a heavily right-wing legislature. It has a governor who is well known for both assaulting a reporter and for funding a creationist museum. So I'm still hoping reason prevails here. Really hoping reason prevails, but again, if you're a teacher in Montana and this crazy bill passes, or you just don't like the fact that it got this far, get out. We'll take you in North Dakota, and we will pay you better. And if you don't want to go to North Dakota, there's a couple states around you that'll pay you better also. So get out. Come to a state that pays you better and appreciates you more, and understands what science is. Now this, and what do I think is behind this? Usually these people who are anti-theory, these are creationists. That is a common creationist argument against evolution. Well, you can't teach that because it's just a theory. Meanwhile, not understanding what a theory is. I would be shocked to find evidence that gets rid of evolution. Have we modified it over time? Absolutely. That's the beauty of science. It's continually being modified. Some of the stuff I learned in high school or even in college is out of date now. That's the nature of science. And that's what makes it such an exciting branch of knowledge, because it doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your beliefs. All it cares about is things that you can measure, evidence. And it can be a messy process of false starts and confusion and mistakes and, oh, I didn't see that coming. All kinds of things. And yet, right now you're benefiting from science. Because I'm talking to a camera that's just about a meter in front of me. Microphone that's even closer yet. You can't see it. And some of you are across the world from me because of all those darn theories that this bill wants to make sure we don't teach to our little munchkins if they live in Montana, because he's scared of evolutionary theory. And I'm sorry to say, usually it's for religious reasons, but I'll tell you what, I'm baptized in a church that has absolutely no problem with evolution. Presbyterian Church, USA. Straight down my road here, there is about 5 blocks? I can't remember how many blocks. But anyway, there's a Catholic church just down the street here. No problem at all with the theory of evolution. Kind of kitty corner here is a Methodist church. No problem with the theory of evolution. Up the street, is it 1 or 2 blocks? Can't remember. It's 8 o'clock. I'm tired. There is a Lutheran church. No problem with the theory of evolution. So there's a lot of churches that have no problem with science. So don't go using religion to hide behind because you don't like the idea that, we might be related to apes or something. So anyway, that's my little rant. So hopefully I get hold of some cardboard so I can get these lights down. And I want to thank you for watching. And again, if anything new comes up with this bill, I will put a note in the video description here. If it comes up after this video is published, I'll make a note of it in the next Pens in Use. And I want to thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old and at all price points, and other topics as they interest me, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, are you a teacher in Montana that wants to bail out? I know of a couple science jobs already. I will hook you up. Otherwise, what do you think of this bill? Am I overreacting? Does it stand a chance in a state like Montana? Let us know what you think down in the comments. So I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.